Welcome back to Pile Driver Talk Radio. News you should know. 3 articles, real quick succession, just to get you some information that you may not have had previously. Our first article this evening, believe it or not, the World Chess Organization has come down and said transgender people are not allowed to play in whatever they have transgendered into. The whole thing was brought about, and they just decided, because they've had a lot of talk about it, said the organization is going to remove, believe it or not, they're going to remove some titles won by players who won in a women's category and later transitioned to male. It will also remove some titles won by transgender men. And those titles and everything, they were set to go into effect this Monday of this week. But it said later on that I just couldn't quite figure out. It said transgender men who won in women's events before transitioning will have their titles abolished. The titles could be renewed if a player transitioned back, detransitioning. And meanwhile, transgender women can keep the titles that they earned before they transitioned. So, trans community is getting hit left, right, and center in everything. And now, it's even made its way into the world of chess. They said that they will allow them to play in the open play where men and women play against each other, but not in specific, either male or female tournaments. Nick, what have you got for the second article for the evening?
The second article is that a 4% tax increase for millionaires in Massachusetts. That article, they discuss free school lunches for K through 12. I found it interesting at first. Kind of trying to figure out how many millionaires actually lived in Massachusetts. And the number that at the end of 2020 was 254,201. With that, the big difference is it's almost 10% of their population are millionaires. So my thought was, if the millionaires wanted to fight it, why wouldn't they hire a lobbyist or something to fight it? But when you look at the numbers, so I don't know how much of an impact they would have had. Yeah, they could have thrown a lot of funding at it. But this is to supplement their budget that's already in place for schools and highways and transportation. I guess the biggest struggle is the accountability factor. When we're talking about increasing budgets, so many other states have done this before and supplemented, like, say, lottery and other things like that in a way to supplement education, but there's been no accountability. So I'm curious to see, as this moves through their legislation, there's an accountability factor. But that 4%, they've already got a 5%, so they're tacking on 4% on millionaires, which will be 9% overall. Found it very interesting and looking forward to the accountability piece being added to this legislation.
What I found interesting, I read through that article, and what I found interesting about it, they said 224 million are going to go to lunches and clean energy in schools. Okay, K through 12. 229 million, they said, is going to go to community college, to make community college free for people that are over 25. And $71 million is going to go for increasing the opportunity for childcare for low-income families. Here's what I didn't like about it. $477 million are going into transportation to fix highways, bridges, city roads, and public transportation stations. So half of the money that they're raising, while they're touting that it is going to be for free lunches, half of it is going out for utility work and roads and bridges and stuff like that. So what could they not pass? But that one gets me.
When the headline reads, free lunches for K through 12.
Yeah.
That's all it said until you start diving into the details and you're like, wait a minute, they're selling this cow and it's got a lot of meat on it. As you look deeper, there's a lot of things in there that they didn't put in the headline, but they sell it as the K through 12 free lunch program.
Yep.
So it makes you wonder.
It does. It makes me wonder, what
where's
are they really? $477 million going to public transportation, things like that. Third article that we have coming up this evening, TikTok. New York City is going to ban TikTok on all government devices, laptops, phones, things like that, right? And people might be wondering, but they actually said the city's cyber command office said that they regularly investigate and take proactive measures to keep New Yorkers' data safe. And as a result, it determined that TikTok posed a security threat to the city's technical networks. I'm like, okay. Further in this article is what kind of made me chuckle. The sanitation department had posted that they're going to stop doing anything. They have 47,000 followers for the city sanitation department. The police department also said that they're going to stop using their TikTok account, and they have 267,000 followers for the police. And I'm like, okay. Now, before people go into a big uproar, you got to understand, Montana, back in May, turned around and they said, we are banning TikTok in the state because of problematic and possible issues with security. But this is not the only place that has done it. And I've got to go and find now. There have been other countries, and Canada was one of them. There have been other countries that have said, we're putting a huge curb on this before it becomes an issue in all security. Because even Joe Rogan, of all people, turned around and had gone through all of the terms of service for TikTok. And it actually dug into your private data a little bit too much. So, just curious, Nick, how would this affect, let's say, police department for TikTok?
Well, I think based on the information on TikTok, it could have some exposure to its security of its buildings and its employees and what they do for a living. There are some clandestine operations that happen within a police department that could be exposed. The individuals that work those departments and special task force type of things might be exposed to something, as well as their families. And it could be, Mike Peterson works the SWAT team, and they're going to do a big bust, and it gets exposed. And well, Mike Peterson's family's around. We can go find them. So they start looking it up, and it gets exposed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's some exposures there, as well as the cyber information that people like Joe Rogan and other people have been talking about. So you talk about the baseline stuff, but there's cyber stuff that's also embedded in there that they can track down. I mean, let's face it, some of these people now, youngsters, have the ability to be able to just dive into anything they need with, fraud and cyber theft and stuff like that. So why not have an open gate with this format, this platform, to where they can get what they need?
Very, very true. All right, folks, that's 3 articles. Nick and I and Harry will be back next time. Until then, thanks for tuning in.